They come with the vodka, with the shots, and then we are a little bit tired when we have to play the game.
And I'm not saying this because I have a Liverpool thing on my lapel.
And that's funny, we talk about the Dutch football, but now we talk about the defenders. The competition with Kluivert, Van Nistelrooy, Mackay was there.
And still more than 200 goals.
A few lucky ones.
A few lucky, 180 lucky ones.
You know how lazy journalists do? They give labels to players, like he is the next something.
The national team and his fans, the country, is in love again with each other.
At the club, they were fantastic. They came to the national team and they were shit. The pie at the moment is our. You don't like players from other teams, for Manchester United.
Infantino keeps coming up with these ideas that 64, 128 countries can take part, then I'm sure we're going to be there. I think the Premier League will go to Liverpool. Yeah. I hope so as well.
That's the best interview ever. Hello, those watching and listening to the Raw Take podcast. Now today we talk about football again. Every year Moscow hosts a Legends Cup. That's when the former players come here to show that they still got it and strut their stuff. They really got it. Some of them can play at the top level still. Now one team which has the representation here is the Netherlands, although not really successful this year. But that is still much better than last year at the World Cup and 2 years before that at the Euros, where the Dutch team never even made it. What is wrong with Dutch football? Let's find out. And I'm really happy to be joined by the two legends of Dutch football, Rafael van der Vaart and Pierre van Hoijdonk. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here in Moscow during the Legends Cup. I saw you play, you guys were fantastic. Although, you should beat Russia next time.
Yeah, but the thing is always that the night before the tournament starts, they have, an openings party. And all the teams are invited, and as soon as you come in, they come with the vodka, with the shots, etc.
That's the truth.
But one team isn't there, and it's a Russian team. They're in the bed, preparing themselves really well. Yeah, and then we are a little bit tired when we have to play the game. They do it every year.
Makes sense. Gentlemen, we are sitting basically 120 meters or something like that from the stadium where the World Cup in 2018 started and finished. We obviously know the winner, France. You guys represent one of the biggest footballing nations on the planet. Supporters of the Netherlands team are probably the best or among the best in the world. I've seen them with my own eyes and it's once in a lifetime experience. Did it hurt you both to not see your team at the World Cup in 2018?
Yeah, it's already a long time. It's the second time that we were not there, so you almost get used to it. But it's a pity because of what you said. We have the best fans. We always have a really good team, and we're always there. And it's just different to see the World Cup without Holland, for us, of course. And but that's the way it is. Now we have a better team again, so hopefully the next tournament we are there.
But still, it's always hard, although we forgot to qualify, it's always hard to watch a tournament where so many countries are taking part, and there are countries that we didn't have at that time the best national team, but still that team was much better than some countries who took part, and that's hard to watch them in a major tournament.
Italians can relate to what you just said there.
Yeah, exactly.
A very solid team, but also not there. Yeah. But guys, why do you think Holland didn't make it to the World Cup? Is it a systematic problem or is it just a one-off?
No, it's definitely not a one-off because it was the second time in a row, as Rafael said. We missed the Euro 2016 in France, and then we thought that was an incident. But then we didn't qualify for the World Cup in 2018. So, yeah, we were simply going through a period where the star players that we always had, at that generation with Rafa, with Sneijder, with Van Persie, and Arjen Robben, they were getting older, and some of them stopped playing for the national team. So it was hard to fill these boots. For many players.
But I also think that, for example, when he played for the national team, I came as a youngster, Sneijder came as a youngster. We had so much talent, and then the older players knew, okay, Holland is in good hands. But when I played, Sneijder played, and we already noticed that some young players coming, they were not the top, it was not good enough. And then it's normal that you have maybe 2 or 3 years that you don't have a team that you think, okay, we're still good enough to be on the World Championship. But I think now something changed with some great young players. And I think and I hope they will be ready to achieve something.
But this, I would say, gap in the generations that you just mentioned, was it down to the system of actual football in the Netherlands? I don't know, maybe lack of funding to grassroots football or things like that. What do you think is the reason that it couldn't just go smooth from one great generation to another great generation?
But sometimes you have like that period that you don't have that big, the talents are not there and the quality is not there or not good enough, and that's the biggest difference. I mean, when I started, Kluivert was there, Van Nistelrooy, Seedorf. So when they stopped, we were there, but we stopped and there was a gap. And how, that's possible. It's difficult to say. I don't know how the youth system and all of team works, but sometimes they're not there, and then you have to hope that you still qualified. But we also were a little bit unlucky.
But I think one of the biggest problems was that we didn't realize that for a long time that we were not that good anymore. So in the first couple of years after the World Cup in Brazil, where we ended up third, we thought, okay, it's no problem, everything is going fine, going smoothly. But the games that we played, the qualification games for the Euro, we struggled big time, and then we thought, it's maybe the system or whatsoever, but we never really pointed the finger
but
to
also
the
in
quality.
the coaching stuff, there were a lot of problems,
Yeah.
Hooijdonk came, and then we already knew that Danny Blind was taking over, and then he stopped. It was big mess.
So managerial problem is merry-go-round, I would say, is one of the factors which led to that demise, I would say.
Yes, but that is also the unrest that was caused by the change of coaches. That comes because the results are not there. Then you have then there is pressure on the coach, and I think the expectations were very high when Hooijdonk took over.
We love him, right?
Yeah. He's
a legend here.
He did a fantastic job. But that national team, he really struggled, and Blind was taking over. I think then Advocaat came.
Yeah, just for 5 games, 4 or 5 games with Ruud Gullit.
Yeah, it's a very short period. And now with Koeman, the situation is much more stable, and he, he started to organize his team from the back. What teams who are not really good do. And before, we were only looking at attacking, but we didn't have the attacking quality players anymore. And that's where we struggled. And now, at the back, first he started to play with 5. Now we play with 4. But solid defense, and then some lonely strikers up front.
Thank you. That's exactly the transition I wanted to hear, because I want to talk about the Dutch defense. The pairing of Virgil van Dijk and De Ligt. What do you make of these guys? There is a notion, and I'm not saying this because I have a Liverpool thing on my lapel. Forget about that. That Virgil van Dijk is probably among the best defenders in the world. Would you agree with that kind of notion?
Yeah, I think it's difficult to say. You're going to say it because they paid 80 million. I think he still started, of course he started fantastic at Liverpool. And he has everything to be the best player because he's strong, big, good with his feet. Yeah. His presence is amazing, and I think he's also a really good leader. So, and that's funny, we talk about the Dutch football, but now we talk about the defenders. And in the past, I don't care about the defenders, we were so good in the attacking, and it's totally different. Our best players are now playing in the back.
Yeah, that's exactly the transition about Dutch football. Where we always had we had so many good forward players, and creative guys.
He was really unlucky. I mean, imagine you have the competition with Kluivert, Van Nistelrooy, Mackay was there, And that's crazy. And we had so many, and they all scored goals in the club.
And still more than 200 goals. I mean, that's a very impressive number.
A few lucky ones.
A few lucky, 180 lucky ones.
And I gave him a few.
Just step in.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're talking about defense. Do you feel safe with these guys at the back now?
Oh yeah, yeah. De Ligt is unbelievable talent. You know, we just talked about Van Dijk, and we rate him very highly. But I think this one, De Ligt, is capable of becoming even better. You know, and if you look at his age, how strong he is already. You know, he can read the game really well.
He's also a good guy, stable in his head, and he's not saying stupid things. And that's so important because the pressure for these guys is so high. München want to buy him for a lot of money. You also can think, okay, now I'm the best player in the world, but really stable, work his ass off.
No stupid things on social media, you know, always.
That's important as well. Do you think, guys, that he should stay at Ajax for now, or should he take a next step?
We were talking about it yesterday, and I think he has to make the next step.
Like right now, this summer?
Yeah, because you know, in Holland it's for him too easy, because there's no striker, maybe 1 or 2 games a season.
He really is a defense.
Yeah. And so I think now the next step will be going to Germany or England.
He needs to play every week against a quality centre forward, because that makes you a better defender. And in the Dutch game, it's too easy for him now. He plays maybe 5 or 6 games a season, you know, where it really matters. You know, really pressure games. Of course, you got the Champions League matches. But you want that in the game. You want, let's say, 30 games, you know, that you have to go, or 34, that you have to go full speed. And yeah, he needs to. I agree. He needs to make the next step.
And if it goes to England, it has to be a big club, like top 6 at least, right? I mean, we're talking Manchester United, Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea. Sorry, Chelsea, no longer, for the next 2 transfer windows. I mean, we're talking about big clubs, right? Same for Germany.
Yeah, of course. I think for him would be the best Germany and then Bayern München. I think he's also going to play there from the beginning, because the defenders now also getting a little bit older. They also talk about in Germany that they maybe have to make some changes. So it wouldn't surprise me when he's going there, and it fits him, I think.
Gentlemen, midfield. We were talking about how strong the defense is. Now the midfield. Some would say it's probably not the most competitive midfield side, you know, for the Netherlands. But you have one exceptional talent, which is Frenkie de Jong, who just signed his contract with Barcelona. He's moving there in July. What do you make of him? Is it too early for him to move to a club like Barcelona, which is packed with talent?
I hope that he is just going to play, because if you go somewhere and you are sitting on the bench and just play a couple of games, then I think it's not good for your development. You need to play every week, but I think he's capable of playing every week, even at Barcelona, because he's a fantastic player.
I think it's also the right club for him. They play football, they want to have the ball, so I like him a lot. You know, he's the best midfielder in Holland. But the only thing what he has to do better, I think, is also giving assists and scoring goals, because then he would be maybe one of the best in the world. Like this, he's doing his game. He never loses a ball. But when somebody buy you for 80 million, you expect more. And I think also the fans in Barcelona, they expect goals and assists.
He's actually the one that changed the Dutch national team. You know, we just talked about the defenders, but before he came in, you know, we were okay. But with him, other players are looking much better now, much more comfortable, because he's comfortable to get the ball with a man on his ass, turning left, turning right, you know, creating things on the midfield. And before that we had other players like Wijnaldum, and we had Strootman there as well, and they had to do that, but it's not in the locker, you know. They simply are not that type of players. But now with him, with De Jong playing just in front of the defense, They look much better. Strootman is not anymore in the team, but Wijnaldum looks a much better player.
He was really playing bad, Wijnaldum. And then Frenkie came in, and then he took over his job. And now Wijnaldum can play like he likes to play, and that's going forward, box to box, and like he plays in Liverpool. And then he's a fantastic player.
So I have to thank Frenkie de Jong for making him a much better player for Liverpool as well.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that maybe, but I think that's also for Strootman and for Wijnaldum at the club. They were fantastic. They came to the national team and they were shit. Yeah. And that was the problem. And because of Frenkie, he changed that. So, yeah. So and he's now much better than a few months back.
Yeah, but at Liverpool, we rated him really well as a Liverpool player, because that was our disappointment. You know, why he's not bringing that form into the national team.
And then he started scoring for the national team and playing well as well.
Thanks to Frenkie.
We actually had the Liverpool fans said the other way around. Like, Wijnaldum is an absolute god for the national team, and he sometimes underperforms, especially in away games.
Really?
So he has got the away game factor. I actually saw his first...
Homesick.
Homesick, yeah. He plays good at Anfield, but he never plays good away. I actually saw his first away goal for Liverpool, which was in Stadio Olimpico in Roma. Yeah. The goal which eventually took Liverpool to the final. Let's not talk about that.
Get dragged away now, eh?
Actually, I had one more question about Frenkie de Jong. You know how lazy journalists do? They give labels to players, like he is the next something. The one I've heard most after he signed the contract with Barcelona was he's the next Cruyff.
Cruyff? No, he's not that type of player. You know, the one thing that Cruyff had and Frenkie has as well is, you know, when they start to dribble, you know, you cannot get close to him because, so easy. Yeah, you know, just twisting, turning, always the right direction. And Cruyff had it as well, but I think that's the only comparison because all the others.
He went to Barcelona,
doesn't make sense.
Cruyff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's also not fair. And you know, you have your own Cruyff. You can't compare.
It's a really lazy journalist, then, huh?
Yeah, I agree. They're all lazy. Yeah. Guys, attack. Obviously, Holland has always been known for massive attack. Van Nistelrooy, Van Persie, you name it. But I don't see big names in the attack these days. What's wrong?
We have Depay at the moment is our
main hope.
But you don't like players from other teams, for Manchester United.
No. He plays well for Lyon. I mean, come on, he's doing.
No,
well.
But he's really. I think when he has a good day, he can be world top, really a world class player. But I totally agree. It's not the best part of our team.
No, and he's not known. You know, before we always had, you know, prolific goal scorers, and he's a guy who can score a goal, you know, of course, but we never really saw in Depay a number 9. And maybe we have to change our mentality because we still believe that the number 9 is like the Giroud, you know, these type of centre forwards. Maybe the game has changed, but. Yeah, he can play there, but yeah, he's never going to score in a season 20 plus goals. I don't believe in that, but he can do a job. And the way Holland is playing now, you know, defending and then on the break.
But that's what you said. It's going to be interesting now because they played with Koeman now for 1 year, just against big teams, and they can lay back a little bit. But now they also have to play smaller teams, and so they have the ball and they have to attack. And then it's also different with Depay as a striker because he needs space to run, and and then I prefer a striker like Giroud or like Huntelaar or something like that, like really a finisher.
Mm-hmm. You guys, I assume, are fans of Koeman in charge of Holland, right? Because I remember him in England very, very well. I think he did a fantastic job at Southampton. I don't think he should have ever left Southampton, at least at that stage. Not so good at Everton, obviously. No club bias here whatsoever, just fact.
That's a fact. That's a
fact. Yeah, that's a Stonewall fact.
You can say that.
But I was actually pretty happy to see him appointed as the Dutch coach. I assume you support him as well, right? You think he brought stability to the team? Oh,
definitely. He one thing, you know, Koeman is a guy who's straight, who's hard, you know, when he needs to. And this group, this generation just needed that, you know, and he had some luck in the beginning, you know, that the results went his way, because that gives confidence to the coach, but also it's good to see as a player that the coach who is making the game plan, you know, has got success. But he has done a very, very good job. We qualified for the Nations League final. You know, nobody thought about it. You know, being in a group with France and with Germany, it was ridiculous if somebody had said, "Oh, Holland is going to win that group," but he managed. The national team and his fans, the country, is in love again with each other, and there was a big gap, and I think it's down to Koeman. He closed that gap.
Because he also, you know, in Holland we like to do normal.
Normal guys, yeah.
Normal, have respect for everybody, don't do stupid things on Instagram. So he's really strict and just play football, enjoy time with each other. And I think that's the most important thing. And the Dutch people, the Dutch fans, they like that, and then they support you everywhere.
So we are going to see the Dutch, the orange mass, the orange sea, as I saw myself in Ukraine. We're going to see that in next year, all over the Europe.
All over Europe,
And then in Qatar.
Yeah.
Are you confident of that?
Yeah, especially if Infantino keeps coming up with these ideas that 64, 128 countries can take part, then I'm sure we're going to be there.
Yeah, but, I mean, I'm looking forward to a matchup between, let's say, the Netherlands and Fiji Islands.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Why not? 17-0, why not?
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. Just before we go, I have to let you go because you guys have a game to play.
No, we can also talk. I prefer to talk here. They play.
They will wait. They will wait.
But in any case, I really want to ask you more about the club things, your former clubs, starting with you, Rafael, if you don't mind. Spurs, chances in the Champions League?
Best team in England.
Right? It's really good. It's a really good team, okay. I mean, there's a lot of notion that Spurs are overachieving, considering they haven't spent a penny in 2 transfer windows. They do have a brilliant manager. I'm a big fan of Pochettino. I think he's probably like among the best managers in the world. But do you think they are overachieving at this point?
It's difficult. Sometimes I saw them playing and you think, wow, what a team. And they have a good chance to win the league. But sometimes they also play, they have difficulties against small team. I think at home they lost one time against a smaller team. I think Wolves, I think it was Wolves. Yeah, that's not possible. You have to win that kind of games to have a chance to win the league. But I'm a big Spurs fan and so many good players and what you said, fantastic coach, and they all stick together and they want to achieve something together. And I really like it. And why spending all that stupid money? I really think that is a positive thing. And of course, maybe they don't win nothing, maybe, I hope so. But anyway, they play so positive football and I really like it to see it.
But the game against Borussia was fantastic.
Yeah, but they can. It's unbelievable. That's what I said, and I think it's still a pity that they don't play in White Hart Lane because then the atmosphere is even more. And so I hope the new stadium is gonna be finished soon.
There are many clubs that I can talk with you about, obviously. But I want to pick a point Celtic, if that's possible, because I really love Celtic. I think it's a very passionate club. Plus, we have a big fan of Celtic at our work. If I tell him that I didn't ask you questions about Celtic, he's just going to kill me. And do you think that the club is on the right path?
Yeah, and they can still win the treble again, you know. And of course, you know, in Europe, they're always looking for success, but they have one big problem. They are still part of the Scottish League, and as long as they are part of the Scottish League, they can never become an even bigger club, you know. Because I think they have in all aspects, this is a club. If they had to go to the Championship, you know, to start in England, in 4 years' time, they will play for the Premier League title, because they can afford to buy the best players. But yeah, I think now this season they struggled in the beginning, especially dropping quite a lot of points, and Rangers came very close. Rangers were the better team in the Old Firm just after New Year, but then in 1.5 month time, the gap is 8 points again. You know, so yeah, will be another title, hopefully another 2 cups, and yeah, we are waiting for Celtic to get the 10 in a row, because that is the main target.
I suppose by you saying we, it means that Celtic still has a very special place in your heart.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
The most special one of all clubs?
Even
To
big
get-
heart.
Big heart, big heart. Also with Fenerbahce. I played there 2 years and got fantastic relationship there with the fans. But Celtic is Celtic. It's a family. Wherever you go, there are always Celtic fans. Doesn't matter. You go to America, you go to Dubai, to South Africa. If you walk into an Irish pub, it's Celtic. It's Celtic that the fans are supporting, and they are very loyal. You know, if you play there, then yeah, you're one of them, and forever.
Final question, gentlemen, to let you go. Your prediction, who will win the Champions League this year? One team. Ibrahim Baat tried to do 3 yesterday, but I was like, no, just pick one. It's like somebody from Spain. I was like, no, just pick one. So he stayed with Atletico.
I hope, of course, Tottenham, but I think that to make you happy, then I would say Liverpool.
Oh, thank you so much. That is so sweet.
But I think they're really strong in attacking midfield, and especially home. There's something special.
And we got Virgil van Dijk. Such a good song for this player. And if you heard it, it's like, oh, one of my favorite. Pierre, your prediction. Champions League, who's the winner?
I think it will be Manchester City this year. Yeah, you know, for the last couple of years, you know, they played fantastic football and never came close. And I just think that it's going to be their year.
Do you think they might win everything? The Prem, the Champions League?
No, I think the Premier League will go to Liverpool. Yeah. I hope so as well.
That's the best interview ever.
It's a good finish of the.
Yes.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
You're
This was
welcome. Pleasure.
fantastic.